Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special MSO subscriber event where we have the chance to further discover and explore the MSO's exciting concert plans in 20 of the home of the MSO, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to have an event like this in person. But as we've all had to, we're finding new ways to stay connected in the unfamiliar new circumstances of 2020. So thank you for embracing the possibilities that technology offers us and for joining us online as we all further explore and unpack the exciting first 6 months of the 2020 MSO season. I can't believe I'm saying those words. There are so many highlights to look forward to, and this is a chance for us all to meet some people who've made a significant contribution to the half-season announcement made last week, which has generated great interest and excitement as the MSO become the first Victorian music organisation to announce plans for 2021. Plans which welcome live music back to the city of Melbourne. And I know how much that means to all of us and how much we've missed it and missed each other this year. So some of our panel today you may know, some may be new faces. We're joined by the MSO's Director of Marketing and Sales, Stewart, who is here to give you some further information about what you can expect from the concert experience in 2021, where your safety and the safety of our musicians and staff has been the primary consideration that has guided all of our decision-making around the structure of the concerts. We're also joined today by the MSO's Director of Artistic Planning, Matt Hoy, who has been with the orchestra since the departure of Melissa King earlier this year. And Matt began his career as a cellist in the West Australian Symphony Orchestra. He's had a wide-ranging career in artistic planning and has most recently done outstanding work for the Australian National Academy of Music and the Melbourne International Arts Festival. And we're also joined by a very familiar face from the orchestra. You may have even seen a fantastic recent photo of her in The Age last week. It's our own wonderful MSO cellist, Michelle Wood, who will be able to give us an important player's perspective on the new season. And I can't wait to hear what Michelle is most excited about as we look ahead to some great music in 2021. So this online format also allows us to answer any questions you may have. You can put them to the members of the panel by typing them into the chat window on YouTube. So please just send them in as they come to you during the course of our discussions, and I'll do my best to get to as many of them as I can once we've heard from each of our panelists. So there's no question we've never experienced anything quite like the events of 2020, and I hope that you are doing okay. And then the recent announcements around the easing of restrictions here in Melbourne give a glimpse of some light at the end of the tunnel. I know today is a tough day. But Melbourne's situation in relation to the rest of Australia has been unique this year. It's impossible for others to understand or relate to unless you've lived through it like we have. And as has been clear, it's been a particularly hard year for our performing artists and especially our musicians and arts workers. And COVID-19 has broken many arts organisations, especially the bigger ones. You know, it's broken the connections between people, between employers and employees, performers and audiences. And the MSO as an arts organisation is no exception to that. It's also raised the big question of how much do Australians value our cultural institutions? And like many arts organisations around the world, the MSO is in a fight for its survival. And despite our optimism, we are realistic that we face an uncertain future. And the orchestra's been through a very tough year this year, but it's been heartening to see the challenges of 2020 being addressed, the learnings taken, and now our collective energy being turned toward the opportunities of 2021. The MSO is a large family of people, all of whom make an important contribution to everything we see and hear on stage, and you are an important part of that family. I know many of you have been subscribers to the MSO for many years, decades even. Nobody loves and supports the MSO more than you do. And I'm very confident that with your support and the collective will of everybody at the orchestra, we can all navigate a course through this difficult period in our history and emerge even stronger. We can't wait to share the power and magic of great music with you once again and to make you proud. So you can imagine that putting even half a season of concerts together within the new parameters of 2021 has been a challenge, but it's also presented opportunities as we're forced to find new ways to do things. And I think that's the same for all of us. This recent 6-month announcement has been a true collaboration, one which has been headed by our Director of Artistic Planning, Matt Hoy, who played a lead role in bringing all of the various elements, ideas and suggestions together. So to give us an overview and to give us all some more details about the season design, it's my great pleasure to hand you over to Matt Hoy. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, Ben. Good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful to join you all and share news of what 2021 has in store. While today you'll hear a little bit about the changes that have come into being as we move into this next chapter. You'll hear about innovations, opportunities, and these are all things that have come through adverse times. But I think the thing that sort of still sits at the heart of the journey we're on is that the live symphonic experience is intrinsic to MSO's being. In response to the current and continuing forecast impacts of COVID-19, MSOs had adapted their planning methodologies in a way to resume and maintain a schedule of live performance within venue audiences from January next year. You may see us online before then, so keep an eye out. But today, talking through that, I'll give you a little bit of insight into the journey we've been on as we've mapped our course forward into next year. Some of the key things are the physical and venue logistics, immigration, quarantine, all of these things are factors that inform the revised calendar of events. And also that we'll be looking at an offering that also comes with other things to consider around our venue capacities and in ways in which we can continue to make music again, but doing so with your safety utmost in mind. Our programming at the moment is based on current indications that we have of a socially distanced orchestra on stage of approximately 55 to 60 musicians. The concert lengths will reflect the fact that we won't be looking at concerts that have the traditional interval, given some of the venue amenity and hospitality restrictions we're working with. Our performances, though, through January to June, are going to be really, really exciting in the fact that they'll draw on world-class talent from within MSO's own ranks. I'll be welcoming artists from throughout Victoria and across the nation, and as well as expats returning home during the pandemic, and a small handful of international artists, travel advisories permitting, who are keen to come and have a close relationship with the MSO and are keen to connect with them as soon as possible. Despite the constricted planning envelope, the season's been conceived to further increase community reach and relevance and showcase a diverse range of musical experiences and voices. These experiences are designed not only to excite and encourage a sense of discovery as we safely welcome you back to the live concert experience, but I guess also to convey a uniquely Australian identity and a Victorian identity for the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra. I think what I might do, Ben and I will take you through some of the various season elements, but the one thing that I'd like to first touch on are just two concerts that are sort of symbolic in MSO's return, in that they sort of talk to the human spirit and also the connection to place. So the first of those is a work by Paul Grabowski, our 2021 composer in residence, called What Up. If you have the season guide to hand, you'll see some background information there around each of these works that I'll talk to. What I wanted to share is a little bit more about the artists that we are welcoming with this project. It features Daniel Wilfred and David Wilfred, who bring Wata into the world of MSO via this collaboration, which is the latest in a 16-year-long association that these songmen have had with Paul Grabowski. Really, really extraordinary artists and very, very powerful public ceremony that we're looking at as the one of the two key events that commence our return into Hamer Hall. These gentlemen are from Nilapidji, which lies near Nooka in Australia's Arnhem Land, at the heart of the ancient culture of the Wagaluk people who continue to care for the ancestral homelands in this area is the tradition of Makankay or song. These are shared songs which bind the community together, and they reflect and create a sense of identity, place and unity. So I think with the journey that we've all been on, as separated as we have been, I think this is going to be a really fitting way to mark our opportunity to come back together in Hamer Hall. The second of those follows the following week, the 26th, 27th of February and 1st of March. These performances welcome back Jaime Martin, Spanish conductor, who is going to be leading two programs. And what you'll see in our programming offering for 2021 is, given we have a shortened concert length, we're offering two different programs in the one evening as well. There's a 90-minute break between those programs to allow for all of the various venue requirements that are needed. But what this does offer audiences is the opportunity perhaps in the one evening, if both those programs were to be of appeal, to be able to go out in between those two with a break to have a drink, have a meal, and then come back. So we're offering, in effect, even more music over the course of one evening if people are keen for 2 concerts in the one night. This program with the Jaime leads is in 2 parts. The 2 programs are related. The first one talks, I guess, to human nature, tragedy and glory. We have a work of Deborah Cheatham's, who has been composer in residence with Melbourne Symphony Orchestra, and you may be aware of her work, Umarala. Deborah comes into 21 with a work called Nanyabak, which in Bunurong language means dreaming the future. And then we pair that with Beethoven Symphony No. 3, the Heroica. I guess with this pairing, what we're seeing here and in the second program is a counterpoint between Australian and European compositional voices. In this first program, with Deborah's work, the Bunurong have poured their knowledge and wisdom into the land we now call Melbourne for more than 2,000 generations. They're well connected with the concept of the future or tomorrow, whilst drawing on the strength of so many yesterdays. Despite dislocation and dispossession in the early 1800s, the Bunurong's resilience is a testament to their connection to country, resilience and firm belief in tomorrow and what the future holds. So there's a very, very strong interrelationship there with the Beethoven and Deborah's work as well. As I said, the second program connects these 2 compositional worlds together. But interestingly, in this program, we see Brett Dean and Brahms effectively both responding to Beethoven too, in the nature of those 2 works that are there. The other international conductor that we will be welcoming in the first half of 2021 is Lawrence Rennis. He's put together a very, very interesting program that I think the thing for me that really comes out in this program is that he showcases the orchestra in many different guises, and particularly with the feature, the number of soloists and that we see through this as well. So his first program is a program of Shostakovich 9 and Beethoven's 4th Symphony. And then the second program with Ravel, Pavan for a Dead Princess, Matthew Lang, who is our Cybeck Young Composer in Residence, will be premiering a new bassoon concerto for MSO's principal bassoonist, Jack Schiller. And then a very, very lush, deep work for strings, Transfigured Night, Schoenberg, concludes that program. While Lawrence is with us, he also will take on another additional program as part of our Metropolis series with the work of Mark Anthony Turnage's Blood on the Floor. And again, this work, along with the rest of the program, really showcases the fine talent that's on hand here in Victoria and across Australia. I should mention too, obviously, with the Ravel Pavan, we will see our principal horn, Nico Fleury, in Fine Flight. And coming back to Blood on the Floor, we welcome an absolute star-studded jazz lineup from great jazz musicians from right around the country, most of them here in Melbourne. And Turnage's work is one of his most celebrated. It's a 9-movement suite for jazz quartet and large ensemble. It takes its name from the Francis Bacon painting, and it's an exploration of aspects of urban alienation and I guess personal challenges. So it's a really interesting, gritty work with rawness and complexity and improvisation, but very, very vibrant as well. The final thing I think before I hand back over to Ben is also a program that Johannes Fritsch will be conducting that in 2 parts. It talks to two quite different themes, if you like. The first program features Pamela Rabe as narrator in a work by Melody Ertvush, who is a Melbourne-based composer. This work, Ruler of the Hive, takes 5 monologues from female characters in Shakespeare's plays. And explores Shakespeare's relationships with women as well as the social and political backdrop for women of the Renaissance. That work is bookended by works of Berlioz and Verdi, Beatrice and Benedict Overture, and the ballet music from Macbeth. So there's a strong sense there of, I guess, the literary through line there with the focus on Shakespeare. Johannes's second program takes us quite an interesting turn to look into another direction. And this is a program that's really focused around music of the New World. We see in this a fabulous work of Joan Tower, American composer who has written a whole series of works in response to Aaron Copland's Fanfare for the Common Man, in this work called For the Uncommon Woman. We then will feature our principal trumpet in a work by Holly Harrison, Sydney-based composer, who'll be writing for Owen Morris as well. And that work in a really quirky, offbeat, dynamic kind of style. Holly has a really, really interesting musical voice. That program rounds out with Dvorak Symphony No. 9, which is the New World Symphony. So there are a couple of quick picks and highlights from me. And I'll hand back over to Ben to see if there's any other things he might like to identify out of the season that have taken his interest. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Matt. Bravo. And don't forget, if you have any questions for Matt, please send them in through the chat window. I can see some coming in already. But on YouTube, if you can pop them in the chat window, I'll get to as many of them as I can once we've heard from everybody on the panel. So yeah, the first 6 months of the MSO's 2021 season reflects the creativity and diversity of our city as we all find new ways to exist in a changed world. And it also highlights the ways in which an orchestra can make a powerful and meaningful contribution to the recovery and rebuild of our city and state, and most importantly, use the power of great music to help the people of Melbourne through this difficult time. And I think that it's great to see and hear what Matt's talking about and how the MSO has responded to these circumstances, which are unique, with a program which really reflects our commitment to celebrating great music in its many forms. It's wonderful to see so many familiar classics. Matt mentioned Beethoven's Heroica Symphony. We've also got Beethoven's Fourth Symphony. It's not quite the 250th birthday, which was very interrupted this year, but it's good to see Beethoven on the bill. The Second Symphony of Brahms that he mentioned, Stravinsky's Firebird. But I mean, there's so many works by Debussy, Bernstein, Ravel, Berlioz, Verdi, Dvorak, Sibelius, Mendelssohn, Schumann, Vivaldi and Bach are there. The list goes on. And all alongside thoughtfully selected music of our more recent history. And I love that idea of these works talking to each other in the programs as well. There are also collaborations with many other ensembles, such as the Australian Art Orchestra, the Vanessa Perica Jazz Ensemble. It's going to be in one of the Maya Bowl concerts. But also for people whose tastes are a little bit more broad, we've got bands from popular culture, such as the Birds of Tokyo, the Bamboos, Meow Meow, fabulous entertainer who's based in Melbourne as well. And one of my all-time favourite film and orchestra collaborations, Disney's Fantasia, which is a chance for people to discover or rediscover the wonder of classical music. There's also a great special family performance of Peter and the Wolf to look forward to as well. You know, we seek to inspire people at the MSO. We share our music as widely as possible. And as well as our many concerts in the heart of the city in venues like the Maya Music Bowl and Hamer Hall, Melbourne Recital Centre, we're taking the MSO out to the suburbs early in the year for a series of 3 concerts titled Suburban Symphony. This is a brand new initiative in collaboration with the local government bodies in 3 outer government areas, Hume, Wyndham and Casey. And those concerts will be tailored to the audiences in each area. And we offer not just the concert in the evening, but a holistic approach to the MSO experience, outreach programs, education workshops. And we finish our concert with a collaborative performance in each area with a local arts group from that local government area. So, I mean, clearly one of the most striking aspects that comes through this MSO season, and I think of orchestras everywhere else in Australia, and even around the world, is that we are demonstrating a commitment to celebrating the depth of our unique Australian musical culture and our world-class artists. It's wonderful to have that opportunity to further showcase our Australian musicians, particularly those within the orchestra. We've got a total of 39 Australian soloists and conductors in this 6-month season. Real stars like Christian Lee, the young violinist who's just been signed to Decca International, Grace Clifford, our award-winning violinist, the recorder virtuoso Genevieve Lacey, Nicholas Carter, the conductor, is coming back to Australia from Germany where he's having a huge career, Benjamin Bale, Paul Kilday, our own concertmaster Sophie Rowell and Dale Bartrop, and as Matt mentioned, there's 7 musicians from the orchestra featuring a soloist in addition to Sophie and Dale, bassoonist Jack Schiller, cor anglais player Michael Pisani, Owen Morris, Nicholas Fleury and Rachel Shaw, the horn players as well. So there's 15 compositions by world-class Australian composers. You know, people like Brett Dean, Anne Corse, May Line, Elena Katz-Chernin, 8 world premiere performances. And as well as the new works that we've commissioned, especially like these concerti for the players within the orchestra, we also have the opportunity to rediscover some neglected masterpieces, such as the Margaret Sutherland Violin Concerto. Now, Margaret Sutherland, for those of you who don't know her, she's an Order of Australia, she's an Order of the British Empire. She was a giant of Australian music, and her name is actually on the concertmaster's suite at the dressing room at Hamer Hall. She was Melbourne born, lived from 1897 to 1984. Some of you may have heard some of her music played on ABC Classic. They often play a piece called Haunted Hills. She's written wonderful string quartets, but it's her violin concerto, which I think is an absolute masterpiece that we don't hear very often. There's a great quote from Margaret Sutherland about her career where she says, "The world at large thinks a woman can't be creative. A woman can contribute in a special way. I don't think that women want to write the same type of thing as men, but their contribution is no less important. My musical life has been a frustration of half promises, then bad performances, followed by no more performances." And we're seeking to rectify that situation for the late, great Margaret Sutherland. Her violin concerto is a masterpiece. It would stand up on any concert stage in the world, and it's been sadly neglected. It's time to restore it to its rightful place. And our concertmaster, Sophie Rowell, will be bringing it back to life as we celebrate one of the best works of the giants of Australian music, Margaret Sutherland. That concert is just not to be missed. The benefits of celebrating our world-class Australian musicians and composers could last for years. This is a unique opportunity. They could flow right through the entire musical landscape of Australia, from the big orchestras right through to school music programs. And importantly, it'll really help raise the profile of the performing arts in Australia as a deeply relevant and essential part of our culture. It's a timely reminder, isn't it, of how much we have to be proud of here in Australia. Matt also mentioned our ongoing commitment to First Nations artists and the spirit of reconciliation, and that relationship with Deborah Cheetham is going to continue into the future as we embrace the chance to share and learn more about the rich cultural and artistic world of our First Nations people. I think we're also reflecting the diversity of modern Australia, and specifically our Melbourne community. This is something that's very important to us. But I mentioned earlier, a total of 39 Australian soloists and conductors feature in the 6-month season. Half of them are female or non-gender. There are 15 compositions by Australian composers, 9 of whom are women, which is wonderful to see. But most importantly, perhaps, all of these programs seek to take us on a journey. Music has the power to help us heal and deal with the kinds of complex emotions we're going through at the moment. There's a concert titled Angel of Light, which I'd like to highlight in this context as well, which features the beautiful and deeply powerful Barber Adagio for strings, and a gorgeous, evocative late 20th century masterpiece by the Finnish composer Aino Juhani Rautavaara, who is considered to be the successor to Sibelius as a kind of a Finnish mystic. And his 7th symphony, Angel of Light, speaks to the idea of traveling through darkness toward light. It's a really accessible work, very powerful. It seems to really speak to the time that we're going through. And concerts like this, and all of our concerts, offer us the chance for the catharsis and healing that music can give us. So so many highlights to look at. Another few that I could mention would be the concerts featuring our concertmasters. Sophie Rowell's curated a program of Bach alongside the English composer Sally Beamish. Dale Baltrop, will be hearing him play the Schumann Violin Concerto with the Sydney Symphony Orchestra cellist and conductor Umberto Clerici. It's also going to be wonderful to welcome back to Australia, welcome back to the MSO, I should say, Australian conductors like Fabian Russell, who's conducting a Russian-inspired program featuring the pianist Konstantin Shamray. Nick Carter, I mentioned, returning from Europe to conduct Schubert, Haydn and Stravinsky's wonderful neoclassical Symphony in C, which is one of my all-time favourite works of Stravinsky's. And also keep an eye out for recorder virtuoso Genevieve Lacey's brilliant program in collaboration with the conductor Paul Kilday. So look, it's a rich selection to look forward to. We hope that you can join us for as many concerts as possible in 2021. And don't forget, all of this is happening alongside the MSO's soon-to-be launched digital platform, which, whilst it's no substitute for the live concert experience, it offers a way to stay connected with the MSO concert experience online. So this half-season announcement, I have to say, it's generated a lot of interest and high praise from the wider arts community, both in Australia and internationally. I don't think Australia's ever seen an orchestral season quite like this. We've never seen a year like this as well, and it's only the first 6 months. I believe it represents a significant landmark in the evolution of our Australian musical culture as we all find new ways to perform and, well, just to simply exist in this changed world. But above all, it is just filled with great music, both emotionally fulfilling and intellectually stimulating, which we can't wait to share with you. You know, we see the arts, and particularly music, as central to the recovery and rebuild of our city. And the entire organisation are committed to the MSO playing a deeply meaningful role in helping the people of Melbourne recover and rebuild after the challenges of 2020, which I know we're all keen to put behind us. So now it's a very good time to get an important perspective from one of the beloved musicians in the orchestra, and they've been through so much this year. I know they're desperate to get back on stage as soon as possible. And to let us know how she and her colleagues are feeling about 2021, it is my great pleasure to hand you over to Michelle Wood. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks so much, Ben. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me along here this afternoon. I'm really so honoured to talk to you all on behalf of the player group in the orchestra. And I can safely say we have missed you all beyond measure in 2020. I'm sure you'll agree that hearing all of this gives you a sense of positivity as we look forward to 2021. I can certainly say that it's the first time that I've had a real sense of hope over the last few months, and that's a testament to the incredibly hard work of our entire organisation. So I won't lie, lockdown in Melbourne for the musicians, like everyone else, has certainly been difficult, and therefore the prospect of getting back on stage is incredibly exciting. We're a close-knit group as an orchestra, and so we've all missed what we do best, even if lockdown has meant some of us have actually diversified a little. I've been kept up to date with my colleagues, often by text or social media, watching incredible meals being cooked, new personal best times running around Albert Park Lake, and the amazing parents homeschooling their kids. But let's face it, by the time you've made your 48th loaf of sourdough, we've just simply missed making music together. It's no exaggeration to say that putting together a season with so many external and constantly changing factors, I think, was a mammoth challenge, and kudos to Matt and the team for doing that. I'm so proud of the whole organisation. To that end, I'm proud of what's been put together, and the fact is, we want to get back on stage making music for you all, but we want to do so as safely and sensibly as we can. And I think we really achieved this. So what we've arrived at here is a really, I think, smart, safe and innovative and incredibly diverse 6 months of music making. And it's one that I think will give you an unprecedented chance to know us as an orchestra, as has been mentioned. And it's a foundation that I really hope will be something that we continue to shape in MSO's future. At the end of the day, we as musicians want to be working with other incredible musicians that inspire us. And this is the sort of magic that makes really great concerts. This season is a complete reflection of that, I think. And the best part for us is that you'll see a lot more of the orchestra members in leading roles as soloist, as has been mentioned, and as well as colleagues from around Australia, all of whom are absolutely world class. As has been mentioned, a few of these, there's Jack Schiller on bassoon performing Matt Lang's work. This is wonderful on a few fronts. Not only is Jack a sensational bassoon player, but Matt is also probably known to a few of you in Melbourne as a violist and has played viola with the viola section over the last few years. And to see him now writing such thoughtful, unique and beautiful compositions is just such a point of pride for someone who's known Matt for a few years. In the same concert, actually, and I have to mention this, we have a work that if you haven't heard, I simply need you to go and listen to, even though the composer is Arnold Schoenberg, and that might have a few of you swiping in the other direction. But it's Verklärnacht or Transfigured Night. It remains one of the most incredible works I have ever played. So trust me on this one. Go have a listen and prepare to fall in love. Now, earlier in the year in March, you'll be hearing from two other colleagues of mine in the horn section, Nico Fleury and Rachel Shaw, in a work for two horns by Melbourne-based composer May Lyon. Our horn section are a fantastic group of people. They're all incredible players, and I know that these two are going to completely amaze everyone with this work. And as has been mentioned, rounding out the soloists from the orchestra in this half of the year, we have beautiful Sophie Rao playing the Margaret Sutherland Violin Concerto, Dale playing Schumann, and our wonderful principal trumpet, Owen Morris. I'm sure I've forgotten someone in here as well. Look, I know it's going to be a truly stunning season listening to these incredible musicians, because it's what I get to do every single day that I go to work. We're also very lucky in 2021 to see the wonderful relationships that we've started to build with the international visiting conductors on the list, amongst them Jaime Martin and Lawrence Rennis. Both of these conductors have been part of truly memorable concerts in recent history, I think, and I know the orchestra is going to be completely thrilled to have them back. In both instances, I know that the audience were probably aware of how easy and fun music making is with both of these maestros, and it's fantastic that both will be conducting some Beethoven symphonies, some early Beethoven symphonies. Jaime Martin will also be conducting a concert in March that I think I'm particularly excited by. When I saw the list, I was particularly excited. Brett Dean's Testament, which I still remember being completely astonished by when I first heard it. And then every cellist's favourite symphony, that of Symphony No. 2 by Brahms. Trust me, if you've ever wanted to hear some of the most beautiful tunes ever written for a cello section, they're in this symphony. So I won't go into too much more detail here, but I wanted to assure you all that whilst things might look a little different this season, the best thing that you can do is put your faith in us. This program's been created to really celebrate the orchestra, which we love, and it will also enable us to get back into the hall in the best and safest way we can. Socially distanced performance, which is going to be a reality for us for a little while, adds a degree of difficulty that I don't think any musician would choose. Our concepts of balance and ability to hear each other and ourselves, all of these are very real challenges. But by nature of the fact that I have incredible colleagues, I know we're going to manage this beautifully. So here is where, as a player, I just like you to know how grateful we are to have you here supporting us. The fact is, we're not going to be able to get through this without you. And whilst the arts as a whole has a long road ahead of us, I've never really been more confident that we're heading in the right direction as an organisation. That said, whilst I know that everyone's in varying degrees of financial stress at the moment, the biggest Christmas present you can give the MSO is by coming to this new season, or even making a donation if you can via our webpage. You're the people we're coming back to the stage for. We can't wait, and we definitely need you more than ever. So back to you, Ben.
Beautifully said, Michelle. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody for your questions, which are coming in. There's quite a number that we will get to about how the two concerts on the one evening is going to work, and about the chorus. There's a question about that, which we'll get to as well. Perhaps Matt can help us out with that. But look, don't forget, you can continue to put those questions in, and we'll get to as many of them as possible. There might be quite a few for our next panelist. It's the MSO Director of Marketing and Sales, Dylan Stewart, to give us some more important detail around the concert experience. I know you're all really keen to find out more about how it's all going to work. There'll be many questions for Dylan, possibly more than we can get to today. But if that's the case and we don't get to your question, do not hesitate to contact our box office to assist you with any information you may need about our 2021 concerts. And you can also refer to the FAQ page on the MSO website, mso.com.au. So to tell you more, over to you, Dylan.
Thank you, Ben. It might seem a bit odd to hear from someone in the sales department when you come here for a subscriber information session, but I guess I'm here to just explain some of the changes that you'll see when you're booking your subscriptions this year. I guess the most important thing to remember is that these changes have been designed to keep you, your fellow audience members, our musicians, and our staff safe. We'll continue to work closely with our colleagues at Arts Centre Melbourne, the Melbourne Recital Centre, Monash Uni, Geelong Arts Centre, and any of the other venues we're performing in as restrictions change and more health advice comes in. For subscribers, the biggest change you'll notice is that you will not be keeping your same seats that you've had in previous years. So social distancing has really tied our hands on this one. We will, of course, save your seats for you once it's safe to return to our regular subscription series, because we know that this is one of the elements of being a subscriber that you value and you love so much. It also means that 2021, you won't be able to select your individual seats. Now, our box office team have been working and training very hard over the last couple of weeks. They'll be allocating seats in a safe, socially distanced way, and we'll begin this process in December. So orders will be taken on a first come, first served basis. And then once we have the final seat maps from our venues, we'll start allocating safely and in order of those transactions. The other major change is that for Melbourne audiences, the only subscription package that we've got available for January to June 2021 is the Create Your Own series. So this means that you can select 3 or more concerts at any Melbourne venue and basically build your own concert season. You might find something in the Melbourne Recital Centre that piques your interest. The Town Hall, head out to Monash, or enjoy one of the many beautiful concerts that are on the cards in Hamer Hall. For Geelong subscribers, a 3-concert MSO subscription will be available in November through Geelong Arts Centre. So again, with social distancing in force, we aren't able to keep the seats that you may have had in previous years, but they'll be held for you and until Costa Hall is operational at a safe capacity again. So, of course, in 2021, your MSO experience will be different to usual. You know, we're working with our venues on exactly what that means, and some of the pieces will continue to be put in place over the coming months. But a few examples of differences that you'll notice: mandatory wearing of face masks by audience members, keeping appropriate distancing between you and your fellow audiences, and a faster entry into the performance hall so that foyer areas are kept relatively free. Our concert programs will be available online only for you to download, and that just removes the need to handle printed collateral as much as possible. We'll email these out to you in the days ahead of each performance, and you're, of course, more than welcome to print them out at home and bring them along. We're also working towards offering digital tickets, so we'll be able to email these through to you, and we expect this to come kind of further into 2021. Social distancing also, as Ben and I think Matt alluded to earlier, it means that we will have fewer seats available. So we encourage you to book your subscriptions as early as possible when they go on sale this week. For most of our halls, we'll be looking at kind of 15 to 25% of our halls being available for purchase. So if there are concerts that you like the look of, then don't hesitate. As Ben mentioned, we've got a season 2021 FAQ page on our website. Now, we've been updating that pretty much every day over the last week or two to answer new questions that are coming in. So if we can't get to your question today, you might find an answer there, or you can submit your own question and we'll put an answer, we'll email you a response, and then we'll also put it up onto that page, because if you're asking it, chances are someone else is thinking it. Of course, our box office is open between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m, Monday to Friday. You can give them a call on 03 9929 9600, and I'm sure those details, if they haven't appeared in the chat already, will be in there as well. They're, of course, on our website too. Thank you very much in advance for your patience with our lovely box office staff. They, as we all have been working from home for the last 7 months. As astounding as that seems, it's been a long time, but we are all really excited to get back into the concert hall with you. We are excited to hear that first tuning note. I think, as you know, when that A plays, every hair on the back of every arm will stand on end, and there'll be some serious emotion in the hall. And I know that Michelle and Matt and Ben, you've shared a few highlights. I'm also, Ben, looking forward to seeing you return to the stage. I think your leadership with the orchestra over these months and in the past many years has been a wondrous thing to watch. And I know that many of our subscribers and our ticket buyers are looking forward to seeing the back of your head and watching the orchestra perform as they always do under your baton. So I'm sure there are many other questions, but that's all from me. I'll throw back to you, Ben, now. Yeah, thanks. Great to be part of today.
Thank you so much, Dylan. And yeah, thanks for mentioning the back of my head. The haircuts are coming back at a good time. If I actually unpacked what's going on up here right now, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I've had to kind of slick it all back. The reality is not pleasant. I'm still waiting to get my hair cut, to be honest. But anyway, there are a lot of questions, as you mentioned, coming in, Dylan, around the season. There's one question here asking about how the two concerts on the one evening will work. And I might just jump into this, Matt, but you might correct me, and Dylan, if I say anything wrong. But they're two separate concerts that you book separately, aren't they? They're separate events. They're not like, one concert that includes both of those programs. You book the first program, you can choose to come to both if you want to, but they're sold separately. Is that correct?
Yeah. That is correct. So, and the way that the subscription, the Create Your Own Series subscription works is that they qualify as two separate performances. So, if you want to purchase to say both performances on one particular night, you make your purchase on the website, and they will be assigned to you. So you'll have two separate tickets. You will be asked to leave after the first performance, and we're talking with the venues about exactly how that works. But obviously, it's important that we and the venue staff can get in to clean the venue, to clean the foyer areas, to clean the seating areas. And then you'll be invited to return once for the second performance. So there's plenty of bars, there's plenty of dining options on South Bank. It'd be a great opportunity to spend a night in Melbourne, and that's what we're hoping that a lot of people will enjoy. Of course, some will prefer to just come for the 6 o'clock show. Some will be looking for maybe a later night and pick the 8:30 show. It's very flexible.
Oh, that's good to hear. There are some people asking about coming in a group or coming with a friend or family member. Is there any way people can ensure that they have a seat in Hamer Hall next to or very near their friends or people that they'd like to sit with or near?
Yeah, look, booking together, booking your subscriptions together is a very easy way to do that. So similar in previous years, you would be able to purchase a subscription for multiple people. That gives you the seats that are next to each other. You can do that. If you have the same concerts that you want to go to, then that's how you do that. If you've got kind of any specific questions, or then speak to our box office, give them a call and book over the phone. But yeah, we want to see you back with your friends, with your family. One of the best things about going to a live orchestral performance is that shared experience. So we certainly want to facilitate that as much as possible.
That's great. Thank you, Dylan. So we'll give you a rest now. Matthew Hoy, what about the chorus? There's a question here about the chorus, and I know we haven't really discussed them. They don't feature in the season yet. It's only the first 6 months. But if I could ask you just to reflect on the involvement of the chorus and the ongoing plans.
Thanks, Ben. Yes, while the chorus aren't listed in our printed materials and with scheduled events for the first half of 2021 to purchase, the conversation with them and with their chorus master, Warren Trevelyan, has been consistent, and we've been really applying ourselves to putting a contingency program, if you like, or contingency options in place such that if we found ourselves permitted to have the gathering of larger groups for singing, there will be ways within the concert season that you've seen and we've talked about today to incorporate them. There'll also be, we're planning for some separate chorus-only events as well in the first half of the year. So our ultimate goal, if everything sort of, circumstances sort of go in our favour, is be looking at three chorus events for the first half of 2021, and our second half of 2021, our plans are well underway there too, in terms of making sure that the chorus, that we hear that collective voice. It's a voice we've missed, and it's a voice that has remained really engaged through this recent period. And as you may have seen with some of our other online programs and things that we've offered, such as Paul Kelly's Leaps and Bounds. The chorus are playing a key role there. So we're looking forward to the moment where we think we can hit the button and you can see your chorus back on stage. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Matt. Someone's dog's very much looking forward to hearing the chorus as well, which is great to hear. There are other questions around the kind of health checks and cleanliness. Will patrons be checked for their temperature before every concert? I mean, I suppose these things are slightly hard to answer, but Dylan, I imagine they'll be handled by the venue and they'll be absolutely fitting with whatever the health advice is at that time.
That's right. Yeah. Health checks, taking people's details upon arrival, which helps with contact tracing.
We'll also be surely at the point where we're holding a phone up to a barcode at that point, for those people who choose to do that. Surely,
I'm sure.
It's not going to be the pen and paper.
Absolutely. Absolutely. At least an iPad.
Yeah.
So yes, look, we, like I mentioned, we're talking with all of our venues very regularly. We're also talking with the Department of Health as they are. So all those entry details will be in line with the most up-to-date health advice. We certainly don't want to risk anybody's health or safety. And that's, as I said, that's our audience members, that's our staff, that's the venue staff, that's our musicians. We'll also have more relaxed kind of exchange and refund policy for next year. So, if you do wake up and you feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be going out in public with hundreds of other people, then please contact our box office. And there are details on our website about that. So, we've designed the kind of the ticketing purchase path to put our audience members at ease as much as possible. We'll be taking all precautions in order to give you a great night.
And making it flexible. That's really good to hear. This one might be for Michelle. There are some questions coming in around outdoor venues. And I know that people are, interested in whether we're going to be using some of the outdoor venues in Melbourne, like the Botanic Gardens. And of course, we've got probably the best outdoor concert space, I would argue, in the world. It's really Sydney Myer Music Bowl, Hollywood Bowl, are the only two that really come to mind as permanent structures. Tell us about what it's like, Michelle, performing on that stage at the Sydney Myer Music Bowl from an orchestra's point of view and, kind of being able to play together. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. Look, it's a funny thing that I actually attended more concerts, after finishing Melbourne Youth Orchestra performances and rehearsals and on a Saturday afternoon. I still remember trekking over the road with what we thought was a picnic blanket, but it was probably just a towel, and sitting there and watching the MSO when I was a student. And I still remember the first time I got on that stage to play it. I mean, it's extraordinary to see just this expanse of people, but also watching the sunset behind them and at a certain time of night, being able to sort of, I don't know, you're part of a real atmosphere of Melbourne at that point. You really feel like you're deeply entrenched in the city. We're not sort of down in Hamer Hall. You can see everything. You can see all the people enjoying themselves. There's something incredibly special about that. And, to sit on stage and kind of be sharing this incredible orchestral music, I am so, so glad that we're going to be able to be there again next year. And I think it's going to be a really special start to the season because it's a place that we know we can be probably safely and, and everyone will still be able to get that same experience that they get from the bowl concerts each year. So I think from an orchestra perspective, we can't wait to be back there. And it's the closest venue to my house. So it's great.
It's a win-win. Well, I think the other thing about the Myer Music Bowl, thinking of that outdoor space, it lends itself to a socially distanced audience very easily. The seated area, you've also got that expanse of grass, the natural amphitheatre, and some of the outdoor events that I've seen happening in the European summer, there were kind of pods that people, families could sit on by themselves, and they were kind of distanced from each other. So you can still be in a group while separated. And look, who knows how things might be different halfway through the year as well. And that's one of the reasons for only releasing the first 6 months of the season, because things could change and things could be much more relaxed than we currently think. So who knows? That's going to be the new thing about 2021. So look, there are a couple of questions, Matt, maybe one for you before we start to wrap up, just around the chamber music season in 2021. I know this is something that we haven't really spoken about, but what's the situation with our chamber music series?
And our chamber music series will continue, and we're working very hard on that at the moment. I guess one of the things too to mention about the planning process is that we find ourselves obviously wanting to keep our audience up to date and informed, but at the same time, we have to sort of find that sweet spot where we feel that the timing of which we make decisions and publish information gives us the greatest amount of certainty that it won't change. It's not to say that we know that everything is fail-safe, not by any means, but working at the moment with Chris Moore, our principal violist, putting together that chamber music series. That's something that'll be coming out as part of future announcements as well. I think Dylan might have a date for us on that front as well.
Yeah, November. Yeah, we are working pretty closely with Chris and with the team. As well as the chamber series, our Ears Wide Open, we'll be looking at how we roll that out for next year as well. So there's some interesting stuff that's happening with the Ears Wide Open series for next year, and look forward to sharing news on that as we move forward. I think the other subscription series that we haven't announced this year is our Jams for Juniors, which I know that many families know and love. That will be living online for the first 6 months of next year. So great opportunity for you and your little ones to shake, rattle and roll anything that they can find in the kitchen, pull out the rice jars or the rolling pins or what have you, and make a bit of noise and upset the neighbours. So while we would love to welcome our littlest MSO fans back at the start of next year, I think that the health and safety of everyone continues to be paramount. Obviously, the sharing of communal instruments 4 times across the morning with that kind of audience is a bit touchy at the best of times. So we look forward to having them online. No,
absolutely not ideal. In my household, it's going to be very noisy, let me tell you. Well, look, keep an eye out for those new announcements. They'll be coming out in the next few weeks as well around those other series. But look, it's probably time to wrap up. We hope you are as excited as we are about the possibilities of this new year ahead. And I urge all of you to continue to share your enthusiasm for the MSO and for the new season ahead with your friends and family and colleagues. And we hope to welcome audiences back to concerts and to connect with as many people as possible with the magic of music in 2021 as we all discover listening again. And haven't we missed that? There is just so much to look forward to. And Dylan, subscriptions are on sale this week. Is that right? This week or next week?
This week.
This week.
Get in early.
Well, just a reminder about that audience capacity being reduced. So please make sure to get in early when the subscriptions go on sale. A big thank you to you all for joining us. Big thanks to our panelists, Dylan Stewart, Matt Hoy, Michelle Wood. Thanks to you for your questions and for joining us. If there's any more questions, don't hesitate to send them in to MSO, contact them through the box office or through the website. And it's been great to have you for this special MSO subscriber event. You're part of the MSO family. We are all in this together. We can't wait to see you again soon. And it will not be long now. I know it feels like it's been forever, but it won't be long now. In the meantime, thank you for your support and commitment to the MSO. Stay positive, look after each other, and go well.